Warheads, and welcome to The League, exploring the League of Legends lore from A to Z. My name is Rebecca.
And I'm John.
My name is Mark.
And today we're talking about the Spider Queen Elise, who was released October 26, 2012. I assume for Halloween.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yes. Yeah.
I think you mean the harrowing. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I always do like the events. And I do kind of vaguely remember Elise coming out, mostly just because she had an animated login screen, and I think it was one of the first ones, and her titties.
They perfected the moving animation to get those physics right.
They really did. They're really swaying in that harrowing breeze, I guess.
It's spooky.
Yeah, that's...
Her spooky titties.
It's hard to remember a time before we had figured out login screen animations, but yeah, they were static for the longest time.
I know, yeah, and now they're gone forever. I know, what a bummer. Elise doesn't have much on the Riot Universe page. She just has a bio and her flavor story, and that's it.
Except she has at least one longer short story that's not linked on there at all.
Yeah, really
they got the old
long.
login screen on there, but they don't have that shit.
Yeah, John told me about this. So I try to only consume what's on the universe page because I think it's fun to see what I learn compared to what the two gold miners learn who dig deep. And apparently they
Can
found
we really say gold, though? Like, let's be fair. We're certainly mining,
Okay.
but...
I can't call you the miners. That sounds weird. What's something shitty people mine for?
We're the sump miners,
Yeah.
to keep it in
we're
lore.
the sump dredgers, yeah.
Yeah, but that's all she had. I did learn that she's from Noxus. That was interesting. I really always thought she was from the Shadow Isles. I think you guys had mentioned that when we talked about it previously. But yeah, she just screamed Shadow Isles to me. But no, she's just hanging out in Noxus. Does Noxus give a shit she's there?
Well, because she hangs out in the Shadow Isles. She's she's Noxian, but then she hangs out in the Shadow Isles.
It sounded like she went back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay.
She hangs there, hey, I'm here. Now I'm back. It's like she has a summer home
Yeah.
in the
Spring
Shadow
break.
Isles.
We're going to SI this year. Oh my god, it's going to be so killer.
And she's like, she's noble Noxian even, so...
Well, they don't care about nobility.
She got
now.
dual citizenship.
I'm just curious if Darius knows she's there, luring men to their deaths, or if they care.
That's a good question. Well, okay, we should talk about it because I think it. Spoiler for the Shattered Manse. We could argue as to whether or not maybe Swain was involved in that. And maybe that. I think that's just a crazy fan theory, but he's always a contender for doing weird shit. So he probably knows. I don't know.
Okay, well, I can go through her bio real quick. I don't know how great my notes are going to be. I was immediately not interested because it started talking about noble houses, and I'm like, I don't care. So I'm like, you're a fucking evil spider lady. Why? I don't care about your, arranged marriage. But anyway.
Well, she's not yet.
Elise is obviously several hundred years old because, they can't just have a 25-year-old champion. They'll have to be immortal. She was born into House Kithera.
Yeah, all those.
None of you are helping
as
me.
Mine.
I like Kythera.
Kythera. You always make everything really dramatic, Mark. Whenever we can't pronounce something.
Sithara.
Her name's not Elise, it's Elise. I'll go with Kythera. Anyway, it's an old Noxus house. And you know what? I'm never going to fucking say it again throughout the rest of the biography.
She marries out of it first chance she gets.
Yeah. So she marries a guy named Bearholt. There's so many names here that I can't really pronounce.
But I like to hear them anyway.
Yeah.
Thank you. He's from House Zavon.
Perfect. All three.
Zaavon.
Avon.
Because it's Zaavan. So I'm going to go with Zaavon. Ooh, I like that. Okay. Anyway, there's a cryptic sentence here about the marriage being like planned for many, many years by shadowy forces behind the scenes. And then that's the only time that's brought up, I feel like.
Black Rose.
Thank you, John. But no one really predicted that Elise would be the one wearing the pants in the relationship, apparently. Her husband, Berholt, grows to resent her pretty quickly because of this. He tries to poison her one night over dinner, as you do. And he's very bad at it, apparently, because he's just like, I poisoned your wine, and I only have the antidote. So Elise, acts all weak and sad just to stab him in the heart and grab the antidote because her husband was a dumb asshole. She is ill for a while, though. And she is visited by the Pale Woman at this point. She's from the Black Rose, which we've talked about. The Pale Woman, we assume, is LeBlanc. Is that it?
I would assume
right?
so.
Yeah.
Yes. So Elise joins and kind of does. She kicks ass. She's apparently very good at being in the Black Rose. She finds an important object, or she hears about, rather, an important object she thinks will help the Black Rose. It's the skull of an ancient warlord, San Uzal.
And we'll make it easier for you in case you ever need to reference this. That's Mordekaiser.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. She finds Mordekaiser's skull, or she hears about it. She never actually finds it. It's supposed to be hidden in the Shadow Isles. However, she finds a spider god, Vilemaw, instead. I can say Vilemaw because it's 2 words that I know. Also, a real subtle name on Obtanium.
Right, especially when they describe the cave
Yeah.
where it lives as it looks like a vile maw.
Yeah.
I don't even think I realized that. Fuck, that's great. Yeah, he bites her and then she becomes Spider-Woman. Not that Spider-Woman.
Different
But,
Spider-Woman.
the one we all know and love. She goes back to Noxus, kind of human form again, the only one left alive from this little trip she went on. And also, I think without Mordekaiser's skull, but, she gets something else instead, these cool-ass powers. The Pale Woman kind of sees this, and she's like, all right, this is pretty dope, and wants to use Elise as a way to travel between Noxus and the Shadow Isles. So the Black Rose provides Elise with sacrifices for her spider god Vilemaw, and in return, she'll get any kind of cool Shadow Isles artifacts that she finds there. And they kind of leave it at that. She still lives in this old house that she shared, and she sounds like she's a bit of an urban legend, and she lures, Noxian fellas there, and, either kills them or sends them to her spider god, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's Elise.
It reminded me a lot of Cassiopeia's lore. I guess I'll say now.
Yes, absolutely. It was basically the exact same lore, except Elise fucks.
This one I liked more because it seemed more this is kind of what we were talking about with Cassiopeia, where man, she has all of these cool fucking new powers. It seems like a society like the Black Rose would probably find some ways to make use of that, which now that Elise has cool powers, it's the first thing they do. They're like, oh, we could use this. You're sexy, right? Go get us artifacts. We'll give you some fucking people. Just
Yeah, I agree. I mean, her lore matches her everything, right? Whereas Cassiopeia, it was like they panicked afterwards and were like, well, what do we do now?
Yeah, I agree. I like getting more insight into what the relationship is between her and the Black Rose. At the very least, it's a really reasonable reason that they value that they see, insofar as getting to the Shadow Isles sucks ass even for them. I was gonna say, to me, it's just a little more nebulous as to where. I don't know. She seems like she'd be pretty capable of getting dudes on her own. I wish I had a little bit more of an understanding of what kind of value she gets from the Black Rose. I know. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, that was literally exactly what I was going to say, Mark. Is I was going to say, I didn't really understand. So they say that Elise really admires the Pale Woman right away and wants to impress her, gain favor. But I don't really understand. We don't learn what she's getting out of this relationship, I guess. And Elise seems like somebody, that would want that. She's not about to follow someone just because, oh, they have a cool name.
Here's my guess. And It's not explicitly said, but we know that the Black Rose provides her with people that will go with her to the island, and that's what gives her kind of her eternal youth. Mm-hmm. I think what she gets out of it that maybe she wouldn't without the Black Rose is people who either are not going to be missed or somebody to, I guess, prevent people from asking questions as to why everybody who falls in love with Elise ends up disappearing mysteriously. They seem like the organization who's going to cover her tracks to let her do her thing.
Yeah, I feel like she could find these people on her own. Regardless, she admired them even before she became this spider woman. You know what I mean?
No.
And she was following them before that. So I guess I would just be curious. There's no line or anything about what Elise really... I don't know what she really wants to gain out of this, except power, maybe. But I don't know. I just don't think it was
out of the Alliance or out of
yeah. Like why was she immediately smitten with the Pale Woman? I guess in a way, and lured by her.
Because game respects game, man. You know, it's like hey,
I guess
these
maybe
are Stone Cold operators. I don't know. It says that
there is one bit in the other story. That kind of points to maybe why. Again, it's not explicitly said, but like maybe hints at.
Yeah. I mean, I could understand even if it is just an alliance that gives her more power. But Elise is, I don't know. She seems like a very strong-willed person, and the idea of her looking at someone in admiration seemed not out of character, but rare for her. So I guess a little bit more emphasis on that would have been interesting to me.
Yeah, definitely rare.
Yeah, rare. And
I don't know. I guess I can totally buy it. I'm kind of fine with it being just a route to power, because I know they mention that even in the bio. Like, I think it says, "Oh, here's a good way to get, to level up." I don't know, but not so literally. Yeah. I don't know.
Another thing mentioned in the bio, and that this is, they mention the place of Helia or Helia. I assume Helia. Helia seems too on the nose, but
I mean, Vile Maw is the name of the spider god, John. I don't know if too on the nose is.
So maybe Helia. Who knows? But in case this is the first time you're hearing of this, city, state, or town, or whatever I guess its technical classification is, this is the former capital of the Blessed Isles, which is now the Shadow Isles. Maokai, Thresh, Yorick, and Tyrus, who's Rise's old master, are all from here.
Oh.
Pre-ruination. And Hecarim, Callista, and Karthus are currently from here post-ruination. So that's the place mentioned in this story. That's that. It's kind of like the center of all of this.
And what's ruination?
So we're going to get a bit into the ruination a bit late. Actually, probably soon, now that Gwen's released. I'd imagine they're going to talk about the ruination in her lore.
Yeah.
But this is tied to the creation of the Shadow Isles, essentially the transformation of the Blessed Isles to the Shadow Isles.
Okay.
Because of, Viego.
Okay, I get you now. So it used to be really nice, and then Viego came and ruined everything, as he does in game.
Done, gone, fucked it up.
If he's on your team, he's 0-10. If he's not on your team, he's 10-0.
And in case you hadn't played Twisted Treeline before that was removed from League, Vilemaw is actually the Baron monster from Twisted Treeline. It's the giant spider from there.
Oh, man, I remember. I played very little Twisted Treeline. They do say Twisted Treeline literally in the bio. Do. It made me squeal. It was an exciting moment. I wish I'd played more of it.
And if you danced in the Vilemaw pit, Vilemaw would dance with you.
Yes.
Surely that's on the wiki, right? Or on YouTube. Somebody's got that saved somewhere.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure there are videos of it.
Yeah, for sure. I guess overall, her bio, before we move on to a short story, it was basically exactly what I expected from her, knowing that she just kind of like is a temptress, I guess. It didn't really do much for me, I guess.
Yeah.
It was fine.
It was, I would say, an upgrade a bit on her original lore.
Yeah.
Because her original lore, basically, she's just like the head priest of a religion that worships the spider god, and she takes followers there, and they're all excited to go there, and then they see Vilemaw, and then they're like, oh shit, I changed my mind. Like, Who did you think you were worshiping this entire time? So she
like
just...
they thought it was a guy who like collected spiders.
Right. So she brings people there, sacrifices them to the spider god, and then while Vile Maw is sated after eating all the people, she harvests venom from Vile Maw, drinks it, and that's how she stays forever young.
Oh.
And then she just goes back, and if anyone asks any question, she's like, oh no, those followers decided to stay at the temple and worship with Vile Maw. So people don't get suspicious.
You know, I don't hate it.
Yeah. little fantasy horror Jonestown or something like that. Man, it's a little...
Oh my god. Yeah, I actually find that a little bit more interesting than the my husband tried to poison me thing. I don't know.
And I will say, actually, the short story, one of the short stories we get, The Strand by Silken Strand,
yeah, that one
seems more tied to the old lore than the new lore. It made me curious.
Yeah, I wondered if that was just a nuance, just like a flair to the writing, but you talking about the old lore, it's like, yeah, that was definitely written for the old lore. Never mind. Okay.
Interesting. So we can jump to that if we want to. The Silken Strand is the one short story that's actually linked on the universe page. Does anyone have a summary of that? By anyone, I need Mark.
I didn't write summaries this episode, I'll be honest with you.
Hell yeah. All right, I guess we can kind of finagle it together, maybe.
So this one, I have like a little bit on this one. There's not a ton. It's through the eyes of one of the followers that has been lured to the Shadow Isles by Elise. This just tells the story about how he's going with her to see the spider god, and he's deeply uncomfortable the entire time, but keeps kind of being pulled along by...
I mean, she's hot, like...
She's hot. She seems to have some sort of power over him. He looks around, sees other people that are following along without any care of their own, and he's kind of just suspicious the whole time, but unable to stop himself from moving forward. And eventually, like all the other sacrifices, he ends up in the cave with Vile Maw, and done gets sacrificed. A few things I liked about this, I think, in the old version of the lore, it always kind of seems like the followers are just following because they're like, oh, I want to see the old god, and it seems like once they get to the Shadow Isles, at least a handful of them should be like, oh no, this kind of sucks. I'm out. Like, this is sketch as hell. I like that they're addressing that, like, yeah, a lot of these followers probably are not comfortable here and want to leave, but they're kind of powerless to do that because Elise has this thrall over them, and even though they want to leave and they want to abandon it, they can't. Every time they try to, she's just, like, pulling them back in.
See, I find that less interesting. I find it more interesting, the idea that Elise is a seductress just because of her charisma. Whereas that story makes it sound like she has some kind of magical ability that lures people in, which sounds, and we're going to get to it soon, like Evelyn. And I think it's more interesting that she's just charismatic in a way that she can lure people. I don't know. You know what I mean? Rather than it being a magical ability.
Yeah, I definitely see both sides of that. My initial kind of gut reaction was more what you kind of said, John, where... In ways it enhances some of the horror of it, of like not really even being in control of your own actions. And I think more to your point, it addresses the very realistic expectation that's like, okay, yeah, she was cool, like, but I just bought her a drink. We're not, now I'm at the Shadow Isle. It's been a wild night. I'm just going to go home and watch Netflix. I don't know.
Yeah.
Webflix.
God. I guess what's throwing me off is... Well, this isn't the old lore anymore, so I guess it doesn't matter. But I think if she was leading kind of a cult, then writing from the point of view of a member, it wouldn't be a magical ability. If you've ever read from someone who's been in a cult, the way they've been brainwashed is, I could see them staying in the Shadow Isles.
That's true.
Because of the things people have done when brainwashed. So, yeah. But anyway, it's irrelevant now because she's not in a cult anymore.
I don't know. I kind of agree with you, though. I will say, as you're talking about it, I think maybe that would have been a more elegant or interesting way of addressing some of the concerns that we've raised. Instead of just like, she's got magic.
Yeah, it's just easier, I guess, as a writer. It's just easier to be like, oh, well, Deus Ex Magica. They're here because she's sexy magic. Yeah.
Touching on the most important part of this lore, though, at several points, the person who has been ferried to this island does mention the kind of the ferryman that drove them there, who seemed a bit off, a bit weird. And then at the end, you find that it is actually just a bunch of spiders in a trench coat, and that made me
Yeah.
so fucking happy.
I don't think I saw that. I really was skimming this story. I feel kind of bad, but I was just like, oh, it's just a dude being okay, I know what's gonna happen. So I really wasn't invested in this story at all. But that's hilarious. And I hope they never retcon that idea.
Me neither.
They should
It's
make that an
key.
ability, frankly.
Right?
Oh my she can put out like some kind of humanoid form, but it's just a bunch of spiders. Oh,
Just like
that's
a
horrifying.
fiddlesticks thing, except when you walk into it, it collapses into spiders and runs away.
It's a fucking
I
pile of
hate it. I hate this. I'm really sorry to everybody who does not like spiders for these visuals we are giving you. Oy.
Yeah, they probably didn't listen to this episode, I guess, to be fair.
Oh, that's fair. I hope not. All right. So what is this magic story that you found that isn't linked anywhere?
So there's two actually.
What?
Yeah.
One
Riot.
there's a lot, like it's a long story that should have been linked. The other one, I can see why it wasn't linked. It's very short. It was probably just on a microsite somewhere or something. Actually, now that I think about it, it was probably on a Legends of Runeterra microsite. I'm pretty sure it's tied to that.
Yeah, I think it actually came off of, they have a lore Twitter, and I think it came off that. I don't know. I don't use Twitter.
Okay.
But I mean, I'll go over the short one first, just because we can knock it out real quick.
Yeah.
It's basically just a series of really short letters from someone named Lord Amet, who in Legends of Runeterra is the hapless aristocrat, attempting to court Elise.
Good luck, bro.
Yeah, I mean, he's been to her place a few times, so she's
shit.
apparently invited him over. In his letters, they kind of progress from like, I wish you'd have me over again, to I loved it, but I could have my maid come and clean the cobwebs from your house. They were kind of unnerving. And then in the next letter, he's like, I'm so sorry for killing that spider. I didn't realize that they were your pets. I noticed that one of them, like, I can bring some gifts for them next time. I noticed that one of them was wearing a headband that another lord had given to his wife a few years ago. I can bring some gifts for them too. But yeah, it's basically just an escalating series of letters from him trying to woo Elise.
Wow. So I never imagined she would have people over more than once. If she seduced them, she would kill them right away. But I like the idea that occasionally she lets one in. Just to play with, like a cat playing, with a mouse. Oof.
Which is very on brand for the actual other story.
Yeah, that's actually
where
true.
she's very cat and mouse in how she's playing with this dude.
Yeah.
All right. Well, who's
That's
going to tell me
true.
about that one? I didn't read it.
Well, I guess I was just gonna say about this one. I really like the tiara imagery, not just the idea that oh, she's got somebody's shit, but that she's like putting it on the spiders, and it's like
Right,
How-
one spider
one
has
gets
a
the fucking
tiara.
How fucking big are these spiders that they're wearing a tiara?
Big enough that his concern for them is warranted, for sure.
No one in the world is sexy enough for me to go to their house after seeing spiders that are
Right?
like that.
It's like, damn, bitch, you look
No
like this
one.
guy. Ooh.
Bitch, you live like this.
I think
Get
that's
an
why.
exterminator in here.
Yeah, I think that's why you need to give her magic, because, I'm not fucking in Spider Palace.
I wonder if she bangs
Looking
any of
at
them.
me with all their fucking eyes.
Right?
So many fucking eyes. There's like 800 eyes here. Did you just spill whiskey on yourself, John?
No,
Oh.
certainly
You
not
say-
on my phone either. case that was going to be your next question.
As you rubbed your phone on your pants. Y'all are fucking messed tonight.
That's because Elise got us.
Now he's slurping peanut butter whiskey off of his thumb.
I won't waste it. Anywho, this next story is called The Shuttered Manse.
Yeah, I can do that one. I don't know how much she has in the way of AUs. So,
So the courting disaster, by the way, those letters was by Rachel Williams.
Yes.
It looks like you have here.
Yes, we do have credit for that one, and Strand by Silk and Strand was Graham McNeil.
Yes.
Not credited on.
This one is also Graham McNeil.
Yeah.
Not credited on the
Yes,
universe.
not
page.
credited on
Yep.
Universe.
Oh, well, good job, Wiki, once again. Yeah, so Shuttered Manse. So this one is essentially told from the perspective of a thief named Nyam. How y'all feeling on that one?
Nyam Cat.
Now
Yum.
it's your fucking... I'm surprised you didn't say Nyam.
Nyam.
Nyam the Faceless.
Yeah.
Yum, yum, yum.
God damn. Well, I'm never going to get through this. Let's see. So he...
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. What is he doing? He's Steven. Okay, yeah. He had gotten a contract to go steal something from the... Gosh, that name that you said earlier. The Zorro estate. Whatever it is that they're called.
Yeah.
Elise's
mansion.
Yeah, Elise's mansion. And he's in a very, almost seemingly abandoned part of Noxus. Very little lights, almost no one's there. And it's a very spooky, old abandoned mansion. And he steps in and he starts, skulking around trying to find what it is that he's after. And he has this sense of being watched and things following him. He kind of stumbles into a banquet hall and lifts up, and there's still meat and food left on the table, and he opens it up, and it's a dish tray full of spiders, just all over some kind of. It's a regular haunted house, and he continues on, eventually getting to a study that's been ripped to shreds, and he finds a box with it's glowing. It's here's your quest item. So he goes over and he unlocks it, and inside is an intricate hourglass that's swirling with blue smoke. And then Elise kind of shows up in the room with him. And during this time, there have been cuts to Elise's perspective, and she's kind of senses him coming in from the moment he shows up, and he's kind of hunting him. And like John said, doing a very cat and mouse, kind of just I'll just let him linger a little bit. This will be fun to enjoy the tension. But they have a little bit of a confrontation. The thief tries to leave. And during the scuffle, the hourglass breaks, and all of a sudden, this gigantic, monstrous Shadow Isles ghost pops out that Elise refers to as a soul gorger. It's pretty cool because it also has a bunch of other half-eaten ghosts that it commands, it's in there eating on their souls while they're all stuck in that hourglass. And so they all start kind of. This is a big action sequence. Nyam and Elise do get captured, and as they are. Nyam gets he gets hit by the soul gorger. I forgot about this part. He gets hurt by the soul gorger, and as it happens, it starts to kind of just automatically start killing him. And Elise talks about the touch of the Shadow Isles now just being inside him and how it sucks away human souls. And so she injects him with some of her venom, and it kind of fires him up. And I think it's interesting. It kind of showcases the magical impact of her. What would you call? I guess persuasion, her charming effect, kind of playing against this supernatural poison that's killing him, and how it's kind of pushing him to keep fighting. Eventually she gets her spiders to kind of wrap up the hourglass that the soul gorger was in. It traps it inside, but it's not going to last long, and as Nyam is dying, she knows she's going to need a stronger vessel. Cut to her meeting with LeBlanc down deep underground, and she's handing over the new vessel with the soul gorger, which is a human skull, and has a very specific facial feature, a cleft palate that Nyam had been mentioned that he had it earlier in the story. But yeah, that's the summary of it, at least.
Yeah, there was actually a lot that I liked about this story, and to touch on a bit about what you said about how Elise is probably very infrequently impressed. They spend a lot of time in this story talking about how fucking good Nyam is as a thief. How his footsteps are imperceptible. He's stolen things from all the tombs in the world. He's kind of if you were to hire a thief and you wanted the job done right, Like, he's the dude that you would go to because he's the best. And literally before he gets in the mansion, Elise knows he's there. Elise senses he's there, and not only senses he's there, but with kind of her magic, senses like everything about him. He's like, oh, this guy is from
Shurima is where, I mean,
Shurima, yeah, like this guy's from Shurima. He spent time in Noxus. Oh, I see. And like knows everything about him just by like before he's even entered the house.
Well, she's not human. That's unfair.
I mean, I guess that's true.
Yeah, but like, yeah, I guess the point being like, this was the best of the best, and he was a fucking punk. Kind of like last week when we talked about how much better the Noxian spies were than that like little nothing town that tried to.
I like I said last week.
Or like
Even though it was,
Draven
like,
Week or Darius Week.
Darius Week was like
Darius
4 or 5
Week,
weeks
yeah.
ago, John.
You know, the other week. Kind of how we talked about this huge power imbalance there. Like, that was what we were experiencing here between Elise and the best of the best. However, later in the story, when she's handing this skull off to LeBlanc, it said that she's in this dark tunnel, and then LeBlanc is just there. She speaks from the shadows, and Elise is like, I had no idea she was there, and it took everything in me to not act surprised at the fact that this woman had somehow managed to sneak up on me through everything.
Well, Blanc sneaks up on me all the time, too.
So, like, from that perspective, too, I could see, like, if that was something that was kind of perceptible to her the first time they had met, like, holy shit, she is on another level. I don't know what she's about, but like, I want in.
Yeah, I could see that. She just senses the amount of magic that LeBlanc has.
Power level over 9,000.
Wow, honey.
Is that relevant still?
Yeah, it's still relevant.
It's new, right?
Yeah.
Have you guys ever heard of
I think it's called
Dragon
Ball?
Ballet?
I'm so confused why it's not on the universe page.
I have no idea.
No, it's a shame.
Because it doesn't seem like there's anything in it that they're wanting to take out. Did they mention LeBlanc by name?
No, she's
She's
the pale woman
The
again.
pale woman. So it's not like they dropped her name and were like, oh, well, let's take that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, even
And
like the details of, I mean, I think this seems pretty recent. I mean, Soul Gorger's a Legends of Runeterra card. Like,
yeah.
Oh.
You know.
Huh.
And they mention the reason they're meeting underground and the reason they're in such secrecy is specifically because they're trying to hide away from Swain, who is all up in their shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I have no idea.
Huh. Yeah, that's strange. Do you think maybe Riot doesn't know?
You know, I mean, that's honestly, yeah. Don't attribute to malice what can be explained with idiocy. So, you know.
So, what is it? What's the theory about Swain, about his part in Elise's lore?
Oh, I was wondering, I guess, John, was your read on who hired Nyam? I mean, that was kind of what I was wondering about. Because
that was kind of the feeling I got.
Yeah, I mean, to even know about it would require a lot of information gathering ability, I would assume. And there's a specific line where Nyam and Elise are first kind of meeting and they're talking, and he says, "Oh, the man who hired me is quite powerful," and Elise is like, the person who this Soul Gorger thing is for is also very powerful. Kind of like, oh, Swain and LeBlanc, right? There you go.
Yeah,
and they're in the same fucking council, probably.
Right.
Yeah.
Although that's also just a theory.
Yeah, that was the read I got on the situation.
Huh.
But yeah.
Because Swain would also hire the best. Like,
yeah.
It seems like, based on the description they gave of this dude, it seems like there are probably few who can afford him. He seemed very good.
Yeah.
And he died like a chump.
He did a little bit.
I was going to say, you know, if you look at it, he actually...
Well,
he did. He
Elise,
was kind of
he and
integral,
Elise
yeah.
fought together.
Yeah.
Elise, you mentioned Elise has like a ton of powers of her own and probably doesn't need help. Elise was going to get got against this thing. Like she really, despite the mini army of spiders she had helping her, she really needed this random dude to help her fight this beast.
Well, he's the one who let it out in the first place.
I disagree.
Actually, I feel like she kind of did.
Oh Jesus!
actually
I didn't
a-
read the story. I just gonna buy what you all said.
There's actually
She
it's
like
really
web
funny.
slingered it
Yeah.
away
She
from him.
web slingered it.
And then like pulled it back, and then when she pulled it back, it cracked. It was kind of on her,
And she
really.
even says, "What have you done?" I'm like,
Yeah.
I was holding on to it, and some asshole web slinged it out of my hand.
I mean, he was there to steal it. It's still on him, I think.
She stole it first.
From
That
what,
is
the
true.
Shadow Isles, though?
Yeah.
What are they going to do with it?
Talk with it, have fun with it. So there's, I guess also, John, there's a bit at the start where she's talks about her dreaming of the ocean that she gets woken up from, and she sees like a tsunami of darkness and extinction like washing out. So is that just a harrowing? Is that the ruination? Do you think?
I feel like that's a
Gotta be
ruination for
thing,
sure.
right? Yeah.
Because this story actually, like you mentioned, that is a Legends of Runeterra card. I'm pretty sure this was like a November 2020 story.
God.
So this
Oh.
was
Really
this was
recent.
after they had. This was after the Ruined King trailer and all that. So, yeah, I definitely think this was kind of that, hint
Hitting,
to ruination coming soon.
Interesting.
Wild.
Pieces are starting to fall into place.
Do we have any more thoughts on regular Elise before John takes a dive?
When you say takes a dive, it really makes it seem like
I think your deep dives. Before John plummets the podcast in the darkness of weird high school AUs.
Fuck yeah. I would just say that I liked the individual. Consuming Elise's lore in my mind was kind of like eating cotton candy, and that I really enjoyed it in the moment and I had fun with it, but I feel like it's lacking substance in kind of looking back on it a little. I could be wrong. I think maybe I just I guess like to me the three stories were also really kind of similar. We're seeing they're kind of horror pieces from the victim's perspective, and it's just kind of retread some of the same ground a little between them all. Like each individual one was fun, I would say.
Yeah, the feeling I got actually with all of these is that they are, unless they completely drop the thread, it does seem like they're working her up to have some sort of impact on the ruination lore coming. Because like you mentioned, when she was having that dream where the flood was over, like the dark flood was overtaking everything, she does mention like, man, I really feel like this was kind of my fault too. So like I don't know whether it was I don't know whether it will end up being the type of thing where like, oh, Vilma has received enough sacrifices that how he's going to be, or she's going to be super powerful. Actually, it is he.
Yeah.
They do specify it's a him
Yeah.
with feminine features.
Oh, okay. Sure. Yeah, those feminine spider features. Does he wear a bow? Like, what do they mean?
He lacks the feminine body parts of or the male body parts of a spider. But I'm curious whether it will be a Vilma type thing or whether it will be an artifact thing, because she has been smuggling artifacts from the Shadow Isles back to LeBlanc, and it seems like potentially, since Swain is aware of this, maybe Swain has also had people out doing this. So I'm curious whether it's going to be something with the artifacts that helps the ruination too. But it does seem like she's kind of being set up to be a more influential part of the ruination moving forward. I'll be super bummed if she's not.
Yeah, I'm like, honestly, I'm trying not to hold out hope, because from what I've seen of like what they're hinting at with the ruination, Elise has not been a part of it at all. It seems to revolve so much more around Viego, and because it's about Viego, Senna, and Lucian as well. So I don't
all
know.
the characters from that Ruined King trailer.
Yeah. So it would be nice for Elise to have some kind of part in this. It would make sense, as she is like binding the Shadow Isles to the outside, and that seems like it would have negative side effects.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's kind of the one. I don't know if we have any other character that travels so freely between Shadow Isles and the mainland.
I don't know enough about the others. So this is our first Shadow Isles champion, really. So I don't know.
Well, yeah, that's a very good point. We should keep an eye out.
And it's like
for it.
welcome in both, as opposed to like Lucian and Senna have spent some time on the Shadow Isles, but they are not They're not welcome there, obviously.
They're not vacationing there.
Yeah. She's kind of like the blade of the Runeterra universe.
Yeah, kind of. I don't know. Callista will show up other places though, won't she? It's from what who knows? I thought she did.
Oh, no.
That's true.
But she's more of a weird spirit thing, and I don't know. We'll get to it. We'll figure it out. We hit some Shadow Isles people in the caves. So
Yeah. I guess overall with Elise, for me, I feel kind of bad. I think that her story is just not one that is full of tropes that I particularly enjoy. The idea of a seductress isn't really my thing, unless maybe it's done in a very particular way. And I feel like in this case, I didn't find it that interesting. I would love to find it more interesting because I'd like, horror in League as a horror fan. But I didn't find any of it very horrific, I guess.
Yeah, I think the only, for the record, the only last bit of lore before we dive into AUs 2 that we didn't necessarily talk about was called the Spider God. This isn't lore that was on any particular page. This was the lore that Elise voices on her login screen.
Oh, okay.
Which again is basically, this could basically be seen as another version of that Strand by Silk and Strand story. It's just kind of telling the story of her walking to the Vile Maw cave with some sacrifices. So like we're not breaking new grounds here, but that exists.
I forgot
it
about
is also
that.
uncredited.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. As you mentioned that, I think what I'm seeing with Elise that maybe bugged me is that they don't seem to know what to do with her. They can write one good story about Elise, and they're just going to keep writing that story.
Yes, that's what it feels like.
This is that Brahm saving the troll all
Yes.
over again.
Oh my gosh. I feel like Brahm can fit in so much more, though. I think a problem with Elise is that if you try to put her just anywhere else in the lore, she just doesn't fit. It's just like she just stands out a little too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if maybe she didn't look so... Gosh, this is not so much her lore specifically, but the way her costume is designed, it makes it like it's impossible. I can't see her, interacting with anybody who's not a ghost or a spider or some shit.
Yeah. No, I agree completely. Yeah. I honestly don't really like the look of Elise. Yeah, probably for a lot of reasons, and that is definitely one of them. She doesn't fit visually in anywhere else besides her weird mansion, I guess.
Yeah, right.
Which that's okay, but we're not going to get anything interesting out of it if that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, she's literally just sitting around waiting for shit to show up. She's the Venus flytrap of champions.
Right? What mail is coming in now that I can murder?
I think
that's it.
It's also weird, I guess, that her gameplay doesn't have anything to do with any of that aspect, right? Like
no charm or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It just makes it feel more detached.
Yeah, I think her being a temptress it isn't fitting, and I kind of do wish her lore was something else besides that. Yeah, kind of like with Cassiopeia, I guess.
Yeah.
More monstrous, I guess. I would prefer more of a monster in Elise's case, and I think I felt that way about Cassiopeia as well. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. So Elise is part of two kind of cinematics. She is in Ignite, which this is actually the odd one. Ignite, if you haven't seen it, is basically an animation along to the song Ignite by Zedd that goes over some highlights from Zedd, that goes over some highlights from previous worlds. And the clip with Elise is from 2013 Worlds Group Stages with TSM against OMG, where Odd One has a pretty epic Baron steal. In the video, for the record, it looks like Elise is kind of standing on the back of the Baron pit and then dives in for that steal. In the actual game, he literally just fucking walked in through the front door of the Baron pit and then just smite stole.
I feel like I remember this, and like it's blowing my mind that this was 2013.
Yeah, so
Like, we've been watching East, like Worlds and stuff for so long.
it's and for the record, in case you're wondering, TSM went on to lose that game.
Right?
Not shocking.
And then she shows up again in the Make History cinematic, which was the 2018 mid-season invitational trailer. Once again, it's got Elise. It features Elise stealing Baron with Smite, though this one, it's less clear who's actually doing it. You can only see the back of the person's jersey. It had either a black jersey or like a navy blue jersey with like a red claw, like scratch mark over the back. So I don't think it was the odd one steal again, although I did look it up. 2013 was when TSM was sponsored by Snapdragon. So maybe they had that on the back of their t-shirts to be thematic. I don't know. Maybe it's a different team entirely. It did look familiar, but I couldn't put my finger on the team.
Really dug into this.
I really wanted to know what team it was referencing.
You were the only one who cared.
Oh, well.
No, but I'm glad you shared it.
Man, it has been so long since I've heard the words TSM and Snapdragon.
Right. I completely forgot about that.
You have me so fucked up right now.
Everyone still called them TSM.
God damn.
Wow.
You unlocked some like hidden memory in my brain just now.
Thank you for sharing, honey.
You're welcome.
I'm sorry I said you were the only one who cared.
Moving on to the AUs. First one is the Eclipse Death Blossom one. So, long ago, an order of monastic knights slew the vile gods of the old world using esoteric powers granted by the moon and sun. Now the world has grown dark and violent as those self-same deities prepare their return, challenged only by the light of the eclipse. Now, Death Blossom Elise is part of this skin line, and her little blurb is, an enchanting beauty she is, lithe in form, and colored like the flowering valleys, frozen mid-bloom by winter's chill. Yet the creature Elise dines upon the flesh of maidens, allured by her delicate pulchritude, didn't look it up, don't care, who dance softly into the jaws of a monster.
Well, I need to look up pulchritude.
Yeah. Thank you.
It sounds like a scent, like
Yeah, maybe.
pul...
It's that chickeny they smell. They're poultrytude.
Pulchritude. Beauty.
Oh, wow. You could
That is
probably
a-
just say beauty, huh?
Horrible word to use.
Pulchritude is the opposite of what I think about when I think of beauty. It sounds too close to putrid.
Yeah.
It sounds too close to...
Oh, hang on.
Pulchritude.
Pulchritude.
Also, still
Don't
not
like
good.
it.
Someone had their thesaurus open when they were writing that one.
And chose the worst one.
Yeah, there's a lot of words for beauty. Like, so many words
So
for
many.
beauty. And pulchritude is not the right choice.
Hard pass. Next up, we have Blood Moon. So we talked about this one a little bit before. This is an ancient cult seeking irresistible power. It surfaces on nights of the Blood Moon to perform profane esoteric rites, merging their flesh with demonic spirits and becoming one with an ever greater darkness.
Gross.
Like I mentioned before, like Spirit Blossom, this is an actual event in Ionian culture for Runeterra Prime, but it's also an AU universe. And I did look up this bit. This actually originated from the Journal of Justice, issue 22, where it was referred to as the Festival of Fire. The little blurb they got there was, "Together we identify that which plagues us as we enter the darkness of night, which we call facing the blood moon. We confront them as one. With the rising of the sun, our fears and woes are cleansed, our spirits rekindled." Some classic Journal of Justice lore right there.
How many issues of the Journal of Justice were there? Do you know?
I don't know. I think it was in the 30s though.
Yeah, I was curious. I wonder how many.
This was on the tail end. So Blood Moon Elise is part of this. She was a revered priestess of the Blood Moon cult. Elise had so wholly intertwined her body with the demon spirit that they're now a single entity. She's traveled beyond all known civilization, existing in the apocryphal darkness hanging beyond the precipice of the world.
Ooh.
Yeah, pretty serious. Next up, we have Super Galaxy.
I don't think I knew Elise had a Super Galaxy skin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't either. The fuck? Hold on, I gotta look at what this.
Right, now I need to look this up because it just so goes against what Elise looks like to me.
So this is a series of parallel universe skins featuring champions as galactic superheroes. Now, in case you're thinking, Elise, she's not a hero. You're right. Super Galaxy Elise is the only non-hero of the entire skin line. Once a promising cadet, Elise discovered that her metamorphic power enabled her transformation into a mechanical arachnoid at will. Now she seeks to reign as an evil, immortal spider queen, seeing all the galaxy not as a home to defend, but as a realm to be conquered.
It's pretty dope. Look at this cosplay.
Oh, damn, that's a good cosplay.
Right?
I'm sure
I
that's
should-
pretty good.
So, fun fact about this is Super Galaxy Nar, during his backing animation, is actually fighting off Elise spiderlings.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Did that come out before? Was that like a tease? Or did they release
I
at
don't
the same time?
I actually don't know what they released. I assume they... You know what? I don't know. I assume they came out at the same time, but maybe it was kind of like... They were just like, oh, what are monsters you can be fighting? And then they were like, oh, shit, we chose spiders.
Yeah,
now
that's-
we gotta
yeah.
add Elise.
That's
I don't know what
definitely
the order of
happened.
operations there was. But the last one she's a part of is Harrowing, which is the Bewitching Elise skin. A witch of some renown, Elise is widely feared by trick-or-treaters after that whole human-sized cocoons incident.
Now that skin does things for me. her regular default splash, meh. But Bewitching Elise, the Super Galaxy one's pretty hot too.
Yeah. Now, I did go through her quotes. I couldn't find any that were particularly interesting, but I did find some fun bits of trivia that maybe you're interested in, maybe you're not.
We gotta fucking listen
But
anyway.
you're gonna hear them. So she is one of only 10 champions to actually have a victorious skin. So this is awarded for hitting a rank of gold or higher in a specific rank season. And
Do they still do this?
They do, yeah.
Ah.
Last one was Lucian for 2020.
God, do I have to play ranked? I thought I'd
Apparently.
hit gold. Too bad.
Victorious Elise was the 2013 skin.
Shit, that's
She's
old.
one of the first ones.
Yeah. I have that one. I think.
Oh,
Twisted
shit,
Tree-
look,
I
it
think
was
we did the
gold.
Twisted Tree Line Dash.
Oh, right.
I feel like I remember. you
That
doing
was, yeah. In case you missed Twisted Tree Line, that was what people did if they were trying to get that victorious skin before the season closed. They'd do that Twisted Tree Line hustle because there were less people who played it.
It was easier to hit gold. Yeah.
Also shorter, and you can do it with less people.
Yeah.
That's
You
true.
could finish a game in like
Yeah.
20 minutes, plow through. She's also the first champion to have a monologue during her loading screen, which, as we mentioned, was the Spider God piece of lore. Since there have been 3 more, but she kind of started it off. She had unique quotes on Twisted Tree Line if you captured altars with her, which this was before the whole every champion has a ton of quotes for specific events that happen in game thing. Like, she came around before all that happened. So this was pretty neat at the time. But if she was stealing altars, you'd hear a voice say, "Your power is not worth the price, Elise," or "Your humanity traded away, and for what?" Or if you were on the other side of the map and they were cool with Elise, "The spider welcomes you, Elise," or "We thank you for your gifts, Elise."
Yeah. Twisted Tree Line was kind of. God, you're making me miss Twisted Tree Line. Not that I would ever play it.
Shit. I know, right?
Same thing with like Dominion. Like, man, I miss it. Didn't play it, but man, I miss it.
Maybe,
I missed like the idea of it.
Yeah. I just miss like the theming. I know why
Yeah.
they don't do it, but I wish Summoner's Rift got fun theming again.
Me too.
For the record, the TFT is releasing a kind of a faster mode. It's on PB right now. I think it's coming out with the Ruination release next patch. But they have a mode where you have significantly less health and you lose a set amount each match. And someone got in game and typed in chat, "What is this game mode even?" And I said, it's fast, it's fun. But nobody got the joke because that was Dominion's old tagline.
Oh
Man.
I don't know if I would have gotten it. Well, I know now because you guys have made that joke before now, but yeah.
It's fine.
Being phased
sorry.
out, man.
So, the original character design for Elise was actually a canceled champion named Priscilla, the Spider Queen. While Priscilla was never actually released, Dominion did launch with an item called Priscilla's Blessing that would boost your movement speed and spire capture time.
How come we don't have any Spire capture time items now, right? What the fuck?
Right? Come on.
For when that rare occasion there's a Skarner in your game.
I know, right? Now, the last bit of trivia is there are several unique gameplay features that Elise has. She's one of less than 6 champs to have any of the following attributes, and she's the only one to have all of them. She has access to both her ultimate and a basic ability at level 1. She swaps between being a melee champion and a ranged champion. By the time you hit level 18, you will have a total of 19 ranks of your abilities because of that free one you get at level 1. She is one of only a handful of transformation champions who can transform before level 6. She's one of a handful of champions who has more than 4 total abilities. And she is one of only 2 champions who has an ability that shares a name with her official title. Spider Queen.
Really? Is it?
Neat.
I'm trying to think which one it is. Is it the W when she's a spider? No, that's Chittering Frenzy. Fuck, what's it called?
I've never played Elise. Well, I probably have an ARAM.
Oh, it's actually her passive.
Fuck. God damn it.
When Elise's abilities hit an enemy, she gains a dormant spiderling.
Yeah, okay. And it's Skittering Frenzy, so I didn't even get that right. Fuck.
Oh, you were close, man. It's all right.
And yeah, the only other champion that does is Vayne.
Night Hunter.
Night Hunter.
Oh, okay. I was thinking Vayne the Vein. I'm like, wait, that's not right.
Yeah, her cue, the vein.
It's like a weather vane that just pulled out.
Weather vein. Oh, can we get a weather vein skin?
Oh, that'd be great.
Oh, we haven't come up with a silly skin in a while. All right, any final thoughts on Elise?
Well,
I want more of her for the Ruination event. Actually,
yes.
This isn't about Elise specifically, but it's probably worth mentioning. I know I threw it up in the Discord. One of the writers for League just made a Twitter post saying that basically everything that they've been working on for the past few years is all about to drop all at once very soon. So there's going to be a very big lore drop, which almost assuredly is a Ruination lore drop. Could mean that we're getting the Ruined King game at the same time as the patch comes out. Who knows? Either way, we're getting a ton of lore real soon.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think of what we would do with this. I feel like, we'll just address what's in this big drop when we get to the champions it pertains to. If a champion we've already happened to do is a big part of it, then we can maybe do a revisit. This is something we've talked about kind of behind the scenes. Like if they suddenly were to release like a brand novella, what would we do? Well, we would just do an episode separate and
Brand part 2.
Yeah, have a brand revisit.
we're going to get the brand back together.
Yeah, we have to end this episode. We're done. Mark is kicked out. Yes, but if Elise happens to be a massive part of it, maybe we'll do another episode about Elise. I feel like that's the best approach. I don't know.
Yeah, sounds good.
Sure.
Yeah.
Even if it can be a shorter one, it's fine.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Mark, do you have any thoughts about Elise?
I mean, I think
Hopefully they're not puns.
I think her replacement's real unfortunate because Evelyn's going to be doing the exact same thing. So
Yes.
we'll see who's better, I suppose.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, that's Elise. Thank you so much for listening. If you could leave a review wherever you listen, that'd be fantastic. If you listen somewhere that has reviews. We also have a Twitter now. It's at Loreheads. I'll be posting episodes there. If you want to kind of have discussions about it, you could do that. underneath in the thread. I'm not good at Twitter, but I'm trying my best there. And we do post these on YouTube if you ever want another place to listen or to have a conversation in the comments. All of three of us check the YouTube comments, so you might occasionally see Mark or John just on their personal YouTube accounts talking to people there. Yeah, but that's it. And join us next week when we'll be talking about the exact same plot storyline when we cover Agony's Embrace, Evelyn.